This sample problem video goes over how to calculate gross pay for a piecework employee. Walter assembles merchandise and is paid 11 cents for each unit assembled. Notice it's 11 cents for each unit, not 11 cents per hour or any type of rate like that. Okay, this is piecework. During the most recent week, he worked 46 hours and assembled 5,628 units. What is the gross pay? So we know that gross pay is going to be regular wage plus overtime wage plus any other type of wages like bonus, commission, tips. In this case, it's just regular wage and overtime wage. Let's approach this problem like we always had. Lay out the information. The rate is 11 cents per unit, and there is 5,628 units completed. Total number of hours worked is 46 hours, so 6 hours of overtime. First, let's lay out what is the regular wage. And the regular wage is 11 cents per unit times 5,628 units. That is a total regular wage for all hours of $619.08. All right? You need to understand that this is the regular wage for all the hours worked. This includes the overtime hours at the regular rate. What we don't have here, what's missing is the additional overtime wage. So there's 6 hours of overtime, but what is that premium amount of wage for the 6 hours? Okay, we have the 6 hours of overtime at regular rate included in here, but not that additional wage for it being the overtime 6 hours. And we'll get to that part. Actually, it's coming up next right here. This portion is how to calculate the overtime wage, the additional portion of overtime, because we already had the regular wage portion of the overtime. So the 6 hours of overtime here at the regular wage, it's included in this number. Now we need to get the additional or the premium portion of overtime wage in that 6 hours. And to get that additional overtime wage, we need the overtime rate. What is the overtime rate? We do not know. But to get the overtime rate, we first need to get the regular wage rate. And to get the regular wage rate, we take the regular wage for all the hours worked. And we already have that number. That's the $6.19.08 right here. We divide by all the hours worked, 46 hours. That gets us $13.46 for the regular rate. All right? And we know when it's overtime, it's times and a half the regular rate. So we do that right here. $13.46 per hour times 1.5 gets you the overtime rate of $20.19 per hour. Once you know that, you can calculate the portion or the additional overtime. So overtime rate is $20.19 per hour. That is more than the regular rate of $13.46 per hour. How much more? $6.73. All right. So that's the portion that exceeds the regular rate. And this $13.46 per hour, that's already in this number. It's already part of this number because that's the regular wage for all hours, right? Now we need that portion of overtime rate, or what we call premium, above this, which we just calculated to be $6.73. So there is 6 hours of overtime. 6 hours of overtime times $6.73 gets you $40.36. Gets you $40.38. And now we have the overtime wage. This is the additional overtime wage. So this goes to method number 2. If you don't know what I'm talking about, method number 2, go back to the previous video on how to calculate gross pay. I went over referencing method 1 and method 2. To calculate gross pay, there are 2 methods. One is the more straightforward method, and the other one is the second method. And I had alluded to how you need to know the method number 2, and this is the reason why in this sample problem we are utilizing the concept of method 2. So now we have 2 components, both the regular wage and the overtime wage. So that's $6.19 right here, plus the $40.38 for the additional overtime wage. And that comes out to $659.46.